Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is what I suspect is really going on with the anti-V. And normally I have a PowerPoint, but today I'm afraid if I have a PowerPoint, then there will be some points that I miss, and I have to choose my words very carefully. Because sad to say, there are some words that we can't say today because Big Brother is watching us. And I don't want to offend Big Brother because then that would cut off me being able to reach you. So we'll just have to live with it. So to back up, let me remind you that it was back in March of 2020 when the V came out, and there were ambulances, there were people getting sick because of the V. Hopefully that tells you what I'm talking about. Then a few months later, I guess it was probably in May or June of that year, 2020, that we started getting the anti-V. Now, let me tell you first of all what Lindsey Williams told me. Now, who's Lindsey Williams? Well, this is a guy that back in the 70s was a soul winner, and his denomination sent him up to work on the Alaska pipeline as a chaplain and win souls. Well, he started winning a lot of souls. Consequently, the Alaska pipeline leadership called him in and said, "You've helped us a lot. We would like to ask you to join us." Now, he didn't understand at the time they were actually asking him to join the elite. And he said for 3 years, he said, I got to go in and sit into the board meetings of literally the people that run the world. He said, I'll assure you, there is a group of people that are above president that tell the presidents what they're going to do and not going to do. He said, I had lunch with them. And he said, as a result, I made friendships. So I called him. Get to the point here. I said, Lindsey, tell me, what is going on with this V and the anti-V? And he said, okay, well, first of all, he said the V was created by man in a laboratory, and it was released on purpose by men into the human bloodstream. And he said it has several objectives, and he mentioned some of the objectives. However, he said the primary objective was to get the mail-in ballots going so that they could defeat DJT. He said, and then the anti-V that came along, he said it also has a longer list of objectives. And the number one objective is to kill people. The second objective is to remove the immune properties from a person so that when they release the second V in 2 or 3 years, that it will just blow through the human bloodstream and it will kill millions of people, because anybody that had taken the anti-V would have no immunity to it, and he said it would kill them very quickly. Now, the reason I'm calling this broadcast is what I suspect about the anti-V is because I can't prove it. And these days, I think it's funny how the DMs can come out and say anything they want to do or they want to say, and they don't have to have any proof. But then the good guys come out and they say, well, this is what we think. Well, do you have any proof of that? You can't prove that. Or that's just all conjecture. Okay, so unless they have proof, they won't let them say it. But then the Dems on the other side, the evil side, can say anything they want to. They can accuse. I mean, that's what the devil does. He is the accuser of the brethren. So the problem is the Holy Spirit is, Jesus said the Holy Spirit would lead us into all truth. And a lot of times Christians, by the Spirit, know some things, but they can't really know them, okay? They can't really prove them. So that's what I'm going to do in this broadcast. I'm going to tell you what I really think. And the reason this came about is I was talking to a very good friend of mine yesterday on the phone, and he said, what do you think? And I said, okay, well, here's what I think. And he was stunned. He said, I've asked that question to a lot of people, and he said, you by far have the very best answer. And so I'm going to give you that answer today. Here's what I suspect. I suspect that a lot of these Vs that they've been coming out with over the last, well, if you really want to know the truth about it, I read an article about Bill Gates and how his grandfather was the one that talked the U.S. Army into giving the Army personnel I can't say that word, the anti-V, and was really the cause of the Spanish flu back in like 1918. And so I think you might say, well, it kind of runs in the family. No, evil runs in the family. And I think that these guys are all part of the Moloch and Baal worshippers. Now, if you didn't see it, probably 2 weeks ago, I made an entire program talking about the difference between the Moloch and the Baal worshippers and what they really believe. But essentially, I'm going to try to come back to this, and sometimes I do forget my train of thought, but I will try to come back to my point, though. So the Moloch and Baal worshippers, you recall, when Moses came down off of the mountain with the Ten Commandments, he looked down, and he saw that they had pulled out their golden earrings and had made themselves a golden calf. Well, the name of that calf is Baal, B-A-A-L. Later in the scriptures, it also refers to it as Moloch, M-O-L-O-C-H. There are other spellings, of course. Matter of fact, they both have many names. But essentially, it's Lucifer, but it is the most evil religion on the planet, which is probably the reason Moses commanded those people that followed him to go in, and everybody that worshipped that golden calf, they were all slain. And then if you go to Dagon and the prophets of Dagon and what Samson did, they were all killed. And then if you go to Gideon and the Midianites and what happened there, they were all killed. Okay, if you go to Elijah and the prophet Preach-Off, where they had 400 prophets of Baal and 450 prophets of the groves, after the fire came down and proved that God was really God, they took them down by the brook Kidron, and they slew them all. So apparently there's no repentance for these. But these people believe in killing people. That is how they worship Lucifer. Now, again, since this broadcast is about some things I think that I can't really prove, I'm going to tell you what I think, but I can't necessarily really prove it. I think that way, way, way back before the pyramids, I think that there was a group of people that went to Lucifer, perhaps Lucifer went to them and said, I'll make you a deal. Kind of like God went to the children of Israel and said, I'll make you a deal. If you'll be my people, I will be your God. Well, I think Lucifer said, if you'll be my people, I will be your God. And here's what I want. If you'll give me plenty of souls, plenty of blood, and the more innocent blood, the better, then I will give you. And the give you is, I will give you plenty of money and power. I will see that you rule the world. And I'll also give you high technology. And it has been that way. See, we discover, and there's a whole other program I don't have time to go into right now, but it basically, extreme pain and the letting of blood in human sacrificing apparently opens portals so that the demons can come in, and the exchange is you give me pain and innocent blood, and I will give you high technology. That's what was going on with the Tower of Babel. Okay, remember, let's take bricks and burn them thoroughly. Okay, so what happens when you burn bricks thoroughly? It turns them to crystal. So what they were basically making was a crystal mountain, probably in the shape of a pyramid. But they said, God said, we got to go down and look at this. He confounded their languages because it says if we allow them to do this, then nothing will be impossible to them. In other words, they will be able to hear from the demons. They will have all of the high technology, and they'll be able to do anything and everything that they want to do. And that's the real story behind the Tower of Babel. And that's the real story behind the Moloch and Baal worshippers. They do really own and control the world. And they are accusers of the brethren, just like Lucifer is. So the accuser of the brethren can say anything and everything they want to say, and they don't have to prove it. And whereas the good guys, we have to prove everything. Well, this broadcast is about what I really think. So what I really think is that they have been working on these V's for a long time. Truth be known, probably even more so than 20 or 30 years. Probably all the way back to 1918, back to the Spanish flu, and it may have been even further back than that. Now, here's the part I can't prove. I suspect that what we're dealing with is not just human research. I think that this bloodletting of the innocents has been going on since before the pyramids. And when they open these portals, these demons come in and give them high technology. I think, again, I can't prove a lot of this, but this is the broadcast. I'm going to tell you I can't prove it. This is what I really think. I really think that they have been given technology. I think they really do have time machines. They really do have cloning machines. where they can take a single cell from a person and 2 to 3 months later, grown that with accelerated growth into a total human. And if the human is old, if they have had work done on the face, I'll say it that way, it all appears to where they look exactly like that old person, even though that body's only 2 to 3 months old, because they have not spiritual, but they have technology to where when the person goes into a REM sleep 2 or 3 months ago, go back and listen to the broadcast I made about a testimony of a clone. Okay, do a search on our platforms. I have to choose my words carefully about clones. Anyway, so they could go in when they go into REM sleep and they can pull that spirit out and put it in a clone. Now, back to what I think. I think that they have been getting these V's ready for a release. This is all part of worship, the Moloch and Baal worship, killing people. And see, we Christians, we have a hard time wrapping our head around understanding that there could be people that worship a God by killing people. So if you're going to understand evil, if you're going to understand what's really going on in the world, you have to arrive at the conclusion there are people so evil that they believe in killing people. And the more innocent the blood, the better. The young children, and what would be the most innocent? That would be before they're born, right? As in, that's right, abortion. So what is the spirit behind it? It's Moloch and Baal worship. That's what it is. They're trying to worship their God. All right, so anyway, they've been behind these V's for a long time. And all of this is part of their plan. I think that they've got some more V's, but now let's talk about the anti-V. See, the big question is, do I do the anti-V or do I not? Well, here's what I said to my buddy that shocked him. I said, I don't think that there's just 3 of them from 3 different companies. I think that there is maybe 50 or maybe 100 different kinds. In other words, some of them are just simple water. That's all it is. That's the reason some people say, well, it didn't hurt me. Well, an injection of water wouldn't hurt you. But I also think that there's a lot of different kinds. I think some of them are designed to kill quickly. Some of them are designed to make a person sick years down the road. And some of them are designed to bring on things like cancer, liver problems. Also, again, this is what I think. Can't prove it, what I think. I think that they weren't necessarily created or even duplicated in human laboratories. I think that there's a high probability that these demons that come through portals to give us high technology developed them. That may be the reason that these human abductions have been going on. You had people say, well, under hypnosis, well, I was abducted and taken up into a flying saucer, and they took ovums from the women and sperm from the men. There's testimony. There's like 70,000 testimonies, okay? Bible says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. So if you have 2 or 3 people that are saying, yeah, I got abducted. Yeah, they took my sperm, or they took my ovum, or I had to have sex with this woman, or this man had sex with me, those kind. When you have enough of those testimonies, according to the Bible, we're supposed to believe them. Well, there's lots of them. Well, what are they doing? They all say genetic experiments having to do with reproduction. This has to do with your cattle mutilations and things like that, and I'm not going to go into all of the details there. So what are they doing? I think this is what they're doing. I think that they're putting all of these things into these anti-Vs. I don't think that's all of it. I also think that they are developing exactly the right body for the Antichrist or the beast, because right now the Bible says he is falling endlessly and helplessly in the bottomless pit. Just like it says of the 2 witnesses, that says that the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and shall kill them. And the dead body shall lie in the street of the great city, goes on to say, for 3 days. So they've got to come up with a body for the beast or the Antichrist. So I think that's part of what they're developing too. But I also think these anti-Vs, In other words, some of these anti-Vs, I suspect, have alien DNA in them. A lot of people saying, yeah, well, they're maybe humans, aborted babies or something like that. Well, maybe they are, probably are. I think that there's not just one version. What if there's 100 different kinds of these anti-Vs? And what if they affect people differently? This person, you have type O blood, it doesn't bother you much. You have type B, dead. Type A, you have a friend, and he was fine. He's like 72, 73. And right after he took the anti-V, like 3 hours later, he has an aneurysm in his head, and he can't even remember the code to open his phone. Okay, so obviously something's going on. Besides that, an anti-V is supposed to prevent the V. That's why they call it the anti-V, right? The anti-V is supposed to prevent the V. This doesn't prevent the V. As a matter of fact, in some cases, it spreads the V. So would I take it? I'll put it this way. Right after I turned 65, they told me that I had to subscribe to the Medicare. Well, the company that represented Medicare the first year called and says, we want to give you a free medical checkup. So they sent the doctor to the front door. I was reluctant to talk to him, but I let him in. And one of the I don't like doctors, and I don't like hospitals. I have a very high resistance to the whole medical establishment. So the very first question this guy says, so how's your prostate? And I said, that's a nunya. He said, what? I said, that is none of your business. Oh, okay. Well, the second question was, have you had the flu shot? And I said, and I'm not going to either. Well, why? I said, do you trust the pharmaceutical companies? Because I don't. See, my younger brother, his son was fine until he took him down to get one of the anti-Vs. Now he's autistic. Well, sad to say, that story is out there often. Oh, well, it doesn't affect everybody that way. No, it doesn't. I think some of them are just water. And maybe some of them are just really a genuine anti-V. But also, some of them are designed to worship their god, the Moloch and Baal worshippers, to kill people, or to make them sick, or to kill them 20 years down the road. Some say that I can't say that word, the anti-V that I took on a little sugar cube when I was probably in the first or second grade. Everybody went down. They had the sugar cube setting out on paper, out on bricks in front of the school. And they had people just drive up, walk up, pick up your little sugar cube, put it in your mouth. I suspect that some of it is alien DNA. I suspect that it was made by aliens that come through these portals that are cooperating and working together with people on Earth. Matter of fact, here's another thing. Lindsey said that the elite consider themselves as good sportsmen, and they don't think it's good sportsmanship to do something to the unsuspecting, the uninformed public. So they feel like to be a good sportsman, they have to tell the public what they're doing. Now, they don't have to tell the public what they're doing, but they have to tell the public what they're doing. What? Wait a minute. Okay, so what they do is they put it out in movies, and they make it to seem like it is just science fiction. But what they're really telling you is the truth. Or they put it into a TV program, or into a music, or into a song. And what they're really telling you is what they're really doing. For example, now, I have to give you a disclaimer on this. I'm not talking bad about Marvel Comics in any way. And I'm not suggesting that they're doing anything wrong. But as I said to a buddy of mine yesterday, I said, okay, so what's the story behind Hulk? I don't know. He gets mad and he turns green and turns into a big monster. I said, no. What's the story behind it? I don't know. I said, the story is that he was a government contractor working for the military, with the objective to try to find a way to give a soldier instant healing. Well, what does Joel 2:8 says? That fall on a sword and not be wounded? What does Joel 2 say also? Another place to be able to run on the wall and go up a wall and go into a window and just have amazing. They don't break the ranks. They follow each other. They do as they're told. In other words, they're trying to develop super soldiers. So the whole thing behind the Hulk was the experiment went wrong, and instead of having super healing, if he gets angry, it's activated, and he turns into this big green monster. I said, now, what's the story behind Superman? He came from Krypton, and he becomes real big and strong. I said, so what it is a saying an alien came from another planet and has super abilities, right? He said, yeah, I never thought of that. I said, what about the X-Men? What's the story behind the X-Men? Well, these people that are not totally human have these different powers. I said, yeah. Okay, so we're talking about a hybrid, a mix between a human and an alien, and that gives them special powers, right? I said, now I played the testimony 6 months, maybe 9 months ago, of a lady that has dreams, and I don't think all of her dreams are from God, which is why I don't promote her, give her name out. But she had a dream, and she says she saw that people were being arrested, and they were being taken down into these underground, I can't say that word, locations, and they were put in jail cells, and they were squirted with this yellow substance. I mean, like a fire hose had yellow substance. And as it hit them, if they were not a mixture, if they didn't have the seed of the serpent in them, it killed them very quickly. But if they did have the seed of the serpent, all of a sudden they started mutating, and all of a sudden they came out with this totally different whatever it is, and they're all different, and they had special powers. And a lot of them were, wow, hey, this is great, I can do this. And of course, this is the power of being able to jump from here to there, have a long tongue, all of the things that the mutants, quote, the X-Men have. In other words, what if that's not a myth? What if they're really telling us what they're doing? In other words, what if these mutants between half man, half they would never do that. Well, go to Daniel chapter 2, verse 43, and they shall mingle their seed with the seed of men. See, I think that's what's going on with the anti-V. I think some of these people are actually getting alien DNA or something from aliens that changes their DNA. I remember this, that I also did a program on med beds. I thought, hey, boy, this is great, man. You know, I had a tooth pulled when I was a kid. I'd love to have that tooth come back in. I'd love to have all of my dental work out. I mean, perfect dental work. I'd love to have the wrinkles removed, the gray hair removed. I'd love to have a perfect body again. And all in 3 minutes, a med bed. Yeah, I was thinking that's great. Whoa. Man, the Lord spoke to my heart and said, absolutely, positively, you do not get in that med bed. It will change your DNA. You will lose your salvation. Whoa. Okay. I got it. Now, a lot of people are saying the anti-V will cause you to lose your salvation. I can't say that because the Lord hasn't told me that. But if the med beds can change the DNA, and He told me specifically you get in a med bed, you lose your salvation. In other words, it changes you. Then what does the anti-V do? I don't know, but I'm not taking any chances. I also said, what about Spider-Man? I said, see, Spider-Man, what happened? How did he become this Spider-Man? He said, oh, well, he was bitten by a spider. Yes. What kind of spider? It was changed DNA. I said, yeah. It had the DNA of 5 different spiders. And what did it do when it bit him? It changed his DNA. In other words, he became no longer 100% human. Isn't that what the anti-V could be doing? In other words, What if the objective of the anti-V is not necessarily to kill people, but to create an army of people that will go out and kill those people that don't take the mark of the beast? Let me say it this way. I do not think the anti-V is the mark of the beast. I do think that it is a step in the right direction. I do think it is something I personally and my family will never, ever, 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 ever do. Can I prove it? No, I can't. I suspect that there may be 100 different versions. Some people say, well, it didn't hurt me. No, you got water. This guy over here, he had an aneurysm. He died 3 hours later. I mean, how many, of course, and see, and here's another thing. If CNN pushes it, I ain't doing it. If CNN walks out of a door and turns left, I'm not turning left. Whatever they do, I'm not doing it. So in that the media is pushing it so hard, to me, is the very reason I'm not going to do it. Like, for example, how many times have you seen this where people roll up the sleeve? Hang on. I have to give myself shots once, so I have one of these close. And how many times have you seen this on TV where they're getting how many times? You've seen that? I'm going to say over 50 times, probably 100 times. Somebody rolling up their sleeve. Why? It's suggestion. It's getting you to picture in your mind going down and rolling up the sleeve and getting the anti-V. It's the devil. It's straight from the pit of hell. And because of all of these reasons, I don't think I should have to come on and tell someone not to get the anti-V. I think you ought to know. Now, what do I think is going on right now? Based upon what Simon Parks, Hal Turner, and Benjamin Fulford have said, if what they're saying, and they're all saying the same thing, that we are now in the progress, we've moved to phase 2, we're in the progress of the massive arrests, and of course the result and the resistance to that by the Moloch and Baal worshippers is bringing people up to attack our southern border. In my opinion, I think that we are in progress into what Dmitri was told, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution started by the communists. So consequently, I'm calling for a fast, starting at midnight, Halloween night, for 4 days, and to October the 4th, which is Thursday, at 4 p.m. From midnight Halloween night to Thursday at 4 p.m., I'm asking people to pray on their face 4 times a day. Praying for God to give America, for 4 days, for God to give America 40 more years. If we don't pray, I'm afraid we're going to lose our nation. Now, let's talk about the fast. If you haven't fasted, you're in for a surprise. You'll discover that it's not that tough. When you're fasting before God, He takes away the hunger pains. We had everybody do a 3-day fast to come into our first, all of our sevenfold miracle crusades. They all say the same thing. They were surprised at how easy it is. Now, I did get an email asking me, okay, so what juices do you use in your fast? So I'm going to tell you. Now, I've had these sitting here, so they're a little sweaty, but this is the second most favorite juice. It's called the Bolt House brand, and no, I don't sell it. You have to go see if you can find it at your grocery store. Bolt House, 100% carrot juice. I love it. And this is my favorite. It's also a Bolt House brand, and it is called Green Goodness. And they're all sweaty. They've been sitting here for a while now. I'll say it this way, without showing you what this is. It's a cup about that size. And I don't know, I guess it's a couple of ounces. And I always take a little small cup of the green or the carrot juice morning and then just before bedtime. I want to make certain my body gets all the nutrients that it possibly can. However, in a fasting time, I will take sometimes, most of the time not, but sometimes I will take a second one during the day. I do drink lots of coffee, but then I drink lots of coffee all the time anyway. And that's another deal. I could tell you that my coffee is not bad coffee. It's special caffeine removed coffee, and I make it with alkaline water, so it's actually good for me. It's not bad for me like your average coffee. But anyway, so I'm asking everybody to fast for 4 days. That means no solid food. You can still do juice and coffee and water and things like that. Still take your meds. Don't hurt yourself. But I'm asking people to pray 4 times a day on our face. And I'm asking them to pray for 4 days, asking for God to give America 40 more years. We've absolutely positively got to do this because I think that we are now in the early throes of the internal revolution. If that internal revolution is successful, just like Chronicles 7:14 says, my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. Then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. So if we can pray 4 times a day on our face for 4 days, asking for 40 more years, perhaps God will see to it that the internal revolution is successful, that these Moloch and Baal worshippers are rounded up and justice served, and perhaps God will do for America what he did for Nineveh and give us 40 more years. At least some more time. We got to pray, my brothers and sisters. The only ones that we're going to pray are the ones that really believe this. So in summary, what I'm saying today, I can't prove a word of it. I can't prove it. I don't have any proof. But I believe the Holy Spirit speaks to our heart. And I believe that this is the most evil attack. I'm talking about the V and the anti-V. The most evil attack that the devil has mounted, perhaps in human history. Never has there been a time when perhaps, if the anti-V does what Lindsey Williams says it's going to do, we are perhaps looking at many millions of people around the globe killed in a very short period of time, if that's all true. So we must pray. We absolutely, positively must pray. Now, one more thing. We did get the money for the roof and also the sign. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. The roof is supposed to be put on in the next 2 weeks. The sign was put on yesterday or Monday. And I plan to take a picture of the sign. I'll be showing you that in future broadcasts. But in the meantime, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Jesus, thank you too. 40 books, $800 value for $100. Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy is a deep dive into Bible prophecy. Miss the Mark is the book you give to people that you never want to take the mark of the beast. God's Warnings to America's 101 modern prophecies, everything from Dimitri Duduman to rest of the most popular, the most credible prophets out there. Tribulation Secrets in Daniel is the book that you read to understand as a tribulation saint what you need to know. And then How Pre-Trib Won, you'll settle your question about the rapture. Now, you can get all 5 of these in a giant package. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets. Shrink-wrap sets of 10 for the Understand Bible Prophecy. Miss the Mark is in shrink-wrap sets of 10. God's Warning is shrink-wrap sets of 10. Daniel is 5. How Pre-Trib Won is 5. So it's a total of 40 books, valued at $800, all for a gift of just $100 at prophecyclub.com. The Watchman Package. Get 2 2-foot by 3-foot color updated charts, my handwritten book of the Book of Revelation, 5 DVDs where I taught the School of the Watchman, and 5 Secret Door books to understand Bible prophecy valued at $355, all for a gift of just $200 at prophecyclub.com. The good news is EMP Shield has devices the military testing facility says protect 100% against EMP, solar flares, lightning, power surges, backed by a 10-year warranty and a $25,000 insurance policy. View simple video installation instructions for home, vehicles, RV. You can have electricity in a blackout. Use the promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card, and it helps your Prophecy Club. These days, emergency food is mostly sold out, but HeavensHarvest.com has all sorts of emergency supplies and food in stock. Their food comes in square stackable buckets, breakfast, entree, protein, fruits and vegetables. I recommend you have at least 12 months of food for each person in your family. Receive a free box of heirloom seeds when you enter the promo code STAN at HeavensHarvest.com. Promo code STAN. You know, I want to make it easy for you to follow Prophecy Club. And probably the easiest way is to download our app. So let me just show you. Here's how you do it. You get your cell phone. This is my granddaughter here. Get your cell phone and you click on the app. It looks like this if you have an iPhone. I don't have a Google or an Android phone, so I don't know what this looks like. I assume it looks like this. But you click on the apple. You click on this symbol right here. You search Prophecy Club. And then you make sure you click on the emblem that looks like this, download it. Now, it downloads in like 10 seconds, but it really takes more like 3 to 5 minutes because you've got to populate all of these past broadcasts. But then when you have it, you can open it, you can click on a broadcast, it starts playing. If you get a phone call, it pauses the broadcast, you talk on the phone. When you're done, it starts the broadcast again. Very, very nice. So go down there and check that out. Terry Sock is a prophecy student, and he reads his King James Bible, and he believes in winning souls so much he is supporting the Prophecy Club so that we can win more souls. So if you want to support someone that loves prophecy and wants to win souls, I'm going to send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com, where you can get all sorts of precious metals, gold, silver, rhodium, palladium, and things like that. cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Click like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend.